Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another stream. Today will be different because we won't talk about layer streamers. Not this time, for sure the next time again. But yeah, today is different because today we want to talk about PhpStorm. And yeah, it's also a special day that I want to celebrate with you together. So, but first, let's see who is already here. Hey, man. Hey, Lorik. Adrian, as always, Samuel, as always, Chester, as always, Nathan, as always. Hello, Nathan, what a game. Was it yesterday or 2 days before? Oh my God. I think it was the worst performance of Liverpool this season, but still we managed to win, so I'm still happy, but not so much fun to watch. So let's see who else is already here. Let me know that you're already here. Let me know how you're doing. And yeah, so for today's stream, I want to talk about my top 10 favorite PhpStorm tricks. And as you might know, I've been sharing PhpStorm tips and tricks for quite some time now. And today we have reached a new milestone. So without further delay, where should we start here? Let's start here. So yeah, today I published the 50th PhpStorm tip and trick of my tips and tricks PhpStorm website. I'm just going to share this with you. Not sure if all of you noticed, but I think most of you do. So yeah, here on this side, I have collected a lot of PhpStorm tips, and with a lot, I mean a lot. So 50 is quite a log and a lot, and I think it also took me quite some time because, as you can see, we have a video for all of them, have some information. We also have some detailed pages for all of them. But yeah, so when did I start with all of this? Let's go back to the first one. Let's see, when was that? First one was June 2020. So this means I started, over a year ago. Yeah, almost 1.5 years ago. And this was my first tip. And I think back then I didn't have the plan to share these many tips, but I just started. And I think also a few months later, I also came up with my course about PhpStorm, which I didn't have the plan at in June 2020. But yeah, as with everything, you have to start at some point and you never know where it leads you. And since then, yeah, I shared a lot of tips and I learned a lot about PhpStorm. Also here, shout out to Roman from PhpStorm, who has been an amazing help over those 2 years. I also did some videos for PhpStorm on their side. So yeah, I'm a big fan, but yeah, just because it's useful and just because I use it every day myself. And today I want to share my top 10 tips with you. And it wasn't easy to pick 10 out of these 50 because I think I use all of them. And I can't say some are better or some are worse, but yeah, I think I have now a fine selection for you today to share with you. Let me see, all good here. Oh, hello from Ghana. Hello, Albert. Nice to have you here as well. Hope you are doing well. And yeah, I think without further delay, I think we're going to just start with the first tip. Screen sharing works. This looks good. PhpStorm tips and tricks, my top 10. Okay, here we go. And yeah, before I start, I want to show you my top 10 now. I think this will be about 25 minutes, something like that, to show those of you. I'm going to look in between into the comments, but mostly I'm going to check them later, and then you can hit me with some questions if we have some time. I maybe can show you some more, but I want to concentrate the stream on these top 10 with you today. So let's get started. Tip number 1, go to declaration. I'm also going to share this later, but for every tip, of course, there is a dedicated website where you can see a video also and some information. But yeah, go to declaration. I would assume that most of you already know this one. This is something you learn quite early, but yeah, it's super useful and I wouldn't want to miss this. And yeah, I think it's number 1 on my list. So what it does here is I have this example where I'm calling a specific method, and if I want to know, want to find out where this method lives, and if I want to check it out, I can use the go to declaration shortcut. This can be done with your mouse. You can hit the command key and then click it, and then you directly get to the method, which is here now in my stream model. But what I mostly use is a shortcut, which I have not here, but nope. Let me get that right. Where do I have it? Yeah, here. Okay, and yeah, with this you can just directly go to something you're using. And I wanted to show you this again because yeah, it's just so useful when you're inside a project and you want to know the project a little bit better. You want to check out some methods, or if you're in the framework, if you're inside of Laravel and want to know what about this with method, where does this come from, and you're going to just check it out now. And here it is inside the Eloquent builder. And here you can see the arguments, you can see what's happening. And yeah, this is how you learn a lot about a new project or framework. This is how I learned a lot about Laravel itself. And this is also what I used when building Laravel core adventures. I just checked out how all of this stuff is working because I didn't know myself before that. So it's just super, super useful. And if we go back now to this method here, and yeah, let's go to the method declaration. And now if I click the shortcut again on the method itself, it also shows me where it is being used. So also super cool if you're inside a method and then want to check out where this is being used, just click it again and then you have this little window here where you can see where it is used. I think that's also why it's called go to declaration or usages, because it works in both direction and it's just super helpful. And yeah, if you haven't known that one, it's pretty sure one that you need to check out. All right, number 1. Let me just get some tea. Some new faces here in the meantime. Hello, Marius. Nice to have you too. By the way, who is Team T? I'm pretty sure I know Caleb is in Team T, but most other developers that I know are in Team Coffee, but maybe there's some more tea people out there. At least I hope so. Okay, back. Tip number 2, navigate back and forward. So this is very much connected to what we have done before. So again, let's use this method here. Let's go to the declaration and then let's go where the with method lies inside of Laravel. So we're now switching from the web route file to the stream model file, and now we're inside the Eloquent builder. And if we want to go back, what we can do is use the recent window to check, okay, here was the stream class and here was the web class. And this works quite okay. Sometimes you have more files where it gets a little bit complicated, but also sometimes let's get into the stream file again. Now let's go into the builder again. So let's say now you are inside a big file like this one. So there's lots of things are going on here. And let's say you check out the with method, then we're checking out the pass with relation method, and then you go down here, and then you may be checking something out down here, and then maybe there's another method. And now you've checked out a few places inside the same file. And now, of course, the recent files, if you want to go back, this would already be the model. But maybe you were following some kind of flow from one method to another, and you want to go back now, maybe 2 steps, something like that. And this is where navigate back and forth comes in super handy. So it's a shortcut that you can use. And yeah, I'm now navigating back, and you can see I come back to every cursor, every past cursor location. So we've been here in this method, then here we were calling this, then we were here in the model itself, and then going back to the route file. And this also goes the other way around. So if I go forward, I can go forward again. And this way you can easily go back and forth. And when you're inside the application, inside large files, this is sometimes super useful because you just want to go back 2 steps, what you did before, and everywhere you had the cursor, you can go back with this shortcut. As always, all the shortcuts that I'm using, you can see them at the button here of PhpStorm, and you can also, of course, check out all those tips on the tips and tricks side, where I also have more information about that. Also, the key combination you see here are the ones that I use myself, so don't get confused if they don't work. But you have the name, for example, here, navigate forward, where you can easily check out inside keymap where to find those shortcuts. Yeah, and that's already tip number 2. I think this was tip 49, so the last one which I shared. Let's move on. Tip number 3, speed search. So that's a very, very simple one, but the moment you realize how and where you can use this all the time, it just gives you so many possibilities. And I'm so already used to this that I don't think about it anymore, but I use it so many times every day, and I'm pretty sure you do too. So the feature is called speed search, and what this does is that you can just start typing in every kind of window in PhpStorm, and it will search or filter the results on what you type. So for example, if I go to recent files here and I search for action, for example, I can see only the files where action is inside. So in this case, it's some kind of filter method. But also, if I search for a specific thing like a class, maybe also action, of course, I can directly search, and I'm filtering all the results. And it's pretty obvious if you're searching something that you just can type it, but it works in so many places more. Example, here I have all the branches of this project, and I can just type again, and it will search and filter the results to what I need. I think we also have a main branch here, and it just makes the results so much more easier to read and see. And this also, of course, works in settings. Just open the settings, search for font, for example, and then you see a few places where a font is being used. And PhpStorm also makes it easy by highlighting where on these pages the font is being used here, which I think is pretty cool. And I think this was one of the first time when I realized in PhpStorm when using it that you can use this speed search everywhere. And as I mentioned, it's not a big feature, but it's so convenient that it's just super handy to use all the time. And I use it for sure all the time myself. Here, at least people from England are tea all day. That's good. Maybe I'm more Team UK here with that. Oh, there's also Team Milk. So before Team Tea, I was Team chocolate drink. How do you call it? I think you just call it hot chocolate, right? Yeah. So before Team Tea, I was hot chocolate, but I think I've never tried a coffee in my whole life. And I haven't been for so long, so I think I'm not going to start. But yeah, it's a little bit strange with me. But yeah, tea all the way. Oh, and glad that you love this mug. This is one I got from Matt Stoffer. Oh, I need to put it in front of my face because it's pretty cool in the camera. As long as my face is seen, always my face has the focus. But the moment something is in front of my face, here is the focus. So yeah, I got this from Matt Stoffer for being part of one of his podcast series. So thanks again, Matt. I also love this mug. Okay, let's move on. Tip number 4. Show current file in project tree. Okay, so let me try to explain why this is useful. So often I find myself inside a specific file. So for example, let's say this model here. And I'm inside a model, and maybe now I want to check out all the other models. Of course, I could search for them, but in many cases, I just want to show the directory. So often I see them people go here, app, models. By the way, also in the project tree, you can just type and see the results. So this is working here as well. And then you can see here all the models which are given. Also with some tests, if I have some live-wire tests, I may want to check out all the other live-wire tests. And I often need to go to this directory. But as you can see, I'm just navigating through the file tree can take you a few seconds. So instead of that, this is a shortcut that I learned just a few months back. There is this shortcut called select file in project tree. And this just opens your project tree on the side and directly goes to the specific file. And this sounds super, super simple and not that important, but it just, yeah, takes so much time off of you, and you are so much faster. I think also with this tip here, I think if I get this right, this was part of this tip here. Yeah, well, I also had 2 other shortcuts. So these are 3 shortcuts that are useful when working with the file tree. And the other ones were about collapsing the file tree. So often you end up searching for something here and checking this out, and then it gets quite messy here. And then what you can do is you can just collapse all the file tree again. And this works also the other way around. I can open everything up. Actually, I've never used this one, but sometimes if I work too much in the file tree, it looks like that, and then if I'm in the file tree and I'm using this shortcut, I can collapse it again, and everything is super clean again, which always is what I aim for. Keep it simple, keep it clean. This makes me happy. Yeah, and that's the show current file in project tree. Again, very simple. Many tips I show you today are very simple tips and very small things, but these are the low-hanging fruits that you can just change immediately in your workflow. And since you use this all time, every day, it will change your workflow for the better. I'll promise you. Okay, we are already at number 5, the file structure. This is a shortcut I learned quite early when using PhpStorm, and I loved it right from the beginning. I'm always someone who likes everything to be organized and structured, and this is what you need. So let's go back to the stream model again. So this is a file which is pretty long because there are lots of things going on here. And if I want to look for something, so for example, I know there's something about, tweeting here, and then I can search, but I'm not interested in this array. Actually, I wanted to search for a method. Here's one method, but the other. But yeah, it gets quite complicated to check out what is really going on in this file. And when you have those long files, you want the overview of what's going on here. And this is where the file structure can help you out. It's a shortcut that shows you all the properties and methods of this current class. And as you can see now, I can easily scroll through here and see what's going on. And as always, I can just start typing and it will filter my results to a tweet, for example. And then I can see that I have here a few methods about tweets, or maybe I want to check out all the scopes that I have and I can see them here. Yeah, since we're already here, I can also search for an argument. So for example, this is not now, the name builder is not the name of the method, but it is an argument of this method. And that's also pretty cool. So if you know that there's a specific argument being used, you can just search for the argument and it will also find what you are looking for. For sure, this is a feature that I can't live without you anymore. And I just use it all the time. And it's also very helpful if you're in the framework in a class that you don't own, that you haven't created yourself, to make yourself comfortable. So what's going on? What are the things that I can do with this class? Classic one. This had to be in my list, and this was number 5. Check all good here. Oh, nice that Freak is also using that one. Yeah, it's always super funny if you have these very, very simple things, but they just make your life for the better. And for me, this is for sure one. And by the way, if you have a question about a specific tip that I show you, maybe you can write Q and then your question like this here. So Q and then your question, and then I can later just filter through all the comments and show your question, because I don't want to answer them right now, but later I can then scan through them. And yeah, if you have a question right away, just write it with a Q at the beginning, and then I can check it out later. All right, number 6. This is another tip which is very simple and you probably haven't noticed yourself yet. I'm pretty sure there are a few out there of you who don't know about this one. So it's called toggle scopes. So what this does is, if you search for a specific class, file, symbol, whatever, let's stick with class and let's search for session, for example. And as you can see, I don't really have a session class myself in my project, but if I now use the same shortcut again, which I used to open up the class search, you can see that this up here, this scope here is changing. So let's try this out. Open up it again, search class in project files, use it again, search in all places. And this is pretty cool because most of the time you search for something inside your project. But sometimes you also need to search for a class outside of your project, and then you can use all places. And then, for example, we'll also check out the vendor folder. And yeah, again, such a little thing, but it makes your life so much easier. And this is something that works in many windows a little bit different. So let me check here. Yeah, recent files, for example, I can do the same. Open up the recent files, hit it again, and then I only see the edited files. So this checkbox here is being triggered, and I'm always using the same shortcut here to do this. So super convenient. You don't have to go here and click this yourself. You just use the shortcut again, and then it already toggles this scope. And I think I have one more, for the file structure. So let's get back to the stream. File structure, hit the file structure again, and now it's toggling this inherited member. And then you will see properties or method from a parent class, which also sometimes is useful, but by default we don't want to see this because it just bloats our structure here. But sometimes we need it, and then it's just one, I wouldn't say one click, but one shortcut away. And since it's the same one as you were already using, you don't have to think about it. It just works. And these are the best things. If you have some shortcuts or things that you use that just work, also like filtering by just start typing, it just works everywhere and you don't have to think about it anymore. And this makes you faster while using your favorite IDE. Tip number 6. Okay, let's move on. Number 7. Let me check the time. Yeah, all good. Open file in split mode. So this is one of those tips which I'm pretty sure if you haven't followed my tips already, that you don't know about this one. And this is really, really cool. So let me tell you first about the issue which we have. So split mode, we notice from all editors, you can split your editor horizontally, vertically, multiple times. And then what you have to think, of course, you don't want to do this with the mouse, but then if you want to do this with shortcuts, there are many shortcuts involved. So let's search here for split, and you can see open and right, split right, down, split and move, stretch, unsplit, unsplit all, split down. So there are many shortcuts involved if you want to get this right. But what I found, I think it's the best way to use splitting in PhpStorm. So what you're going to do is, for me mostly, if I want to split, I already have the file in my recent files here. So what I do now is I pick the file, and then instead of just clicking enter, I'm going to click shift enter. And what this does, voila, it just opens it up in split mode. Now with my resolution here for the stream, everything is a little bit too big, so it's not that good to work, but normally if I don't stream, I have much more space. And you will see that it works really well. So this means until now, I didn't have to think of any shortcut, but there is one shortcut which I use here, which is called unsplit all. So this means it doesn't matter how many times I'm going to split my editor here, so like 4 times. I'm just using now one shortcut to unsplit all again. And yeah, mostly I work in this window, but sometimes I want it to be splitted, and this is how I do it. And this way you only have to think about one shortcut to unsplit everything, and everything else is pretty easy. And also, this doesn't work only with recent files. Also, if you search for the session class, for example, it works the same. Instead of just hitting enter, you hit shift enter, and here you have it already split it. And then PhpStorm is hanging up. That's pretty interesting. So I think that's the first time since I have my M1 Air that I saw this spinning icon on my Mac, which is crazy when you think about it, because before I think I saw it quite some times with all my other laptops, but this was really the first time that I saw it with my M1. So I think this 4K stream with PhpStorm maybe is hitting a little bit the border of what my Air is capable of, but still it was only the first time that we saw it. It seems everything else is still fast, but interesting that this was the first time we saw that. Okay, open file in split mode. I think it's the best way to deal with the split mode. Number 8, replace quotes. Also, again, a very simple thing, but you're going to use this a lot in your code. So let's say we have here this string and we want to make double quotes. I'm going to select it and I'm just hitting double quotes, and PhpStorm is changing it. By the way I'm selecting here the string here is I'm going up and down with the Alt key, and this way I can expand the selection. And it just starts, I think, with the word, and then the next is here inside the parentheses. And of course, we want to go one way further to include the parentheses and then the quotes, and then we can use just hit the quotes, singular quote one time, and then it just gets changed. So let's change this back. Here we want this to have single quotes. So again, but here what we want to have is use curly braces, and it's the same here. Select everything with the braces and then click the right key, and then we have already curly braces. And again, if there aren't any braces yet, you can also just, let me check again. So like here, just add those, and then you can just add something around that you haven't had before them. So in this case, I was first changing these braces to the curly braces, but then I also added these normal braces. So this also works. And yeah, as I said, these are things that you use all the time. Especially, I always use single quotes for every string that I use, but then sometimes I need to use a variable inside, and then I'm just going to change it to double quotes. And this is the fastest way to do this. So whenever you find yourself doing this here, remind yourself that there is a much faster way for this. Some new people here. Hey Lars. Hey Benjamin. By the way, if you haven't heard this, if you have any questions about any tips that I show you, do it like Lorik at the queue, and then hit your question, and I'm going to check all of them later and then go through them at once with you. All right, what's next? Only 2 more. Okay, so not too many. But let's see, what do we have here? Yeah, so I'd say from all the tips that I had, from all the 50 that I had, I think this is my most favorite one. I think it's the one that I use so much, and it just helps me so much, and it just saves so much time, but also impressed me that this was also working like that. And before that, I didn't saw anyone using it like that. It's about running tests, and I think it's just the best way out there to run your test if you use PhpStorm. Okay, so what am I talking about? First, this is about 2 different tips here, and one is about running test, and the other is called the best way to run test. Okay, so both are about running test, but one is about I'll show it to you and then you'll see it. So let's go to one of my tests here. So before the new way, which I'm now using to run my test, what I mostly did is PHP unit and then maybe pick a specific test feature. What do we have? Do we have some actions here, and then pick some specific test, and then you maybe want to filter it for a specific method and not run all of them, and then you type the method name, and then there is a same method name with the same beginning of the string, and then it doesn't work, and then you get confused. So this is how I've done it before, and it works, but I would say it wasn't that much fun, and it took quite some time. So what I do now is, if I'm inside a test, I'm just using a shortcut, and I'm going to run this test. And this test is working. And let's go to another test. I'm going to click inside the test, run it, and this one specific test is being run. I see the output right away, everything green, get rid of the window again, and I can move on. And also I can click here in between the methods, and then all of the tests inside this class, inside this test file, are being run all together. So for me, mostly I find when I'm testing, I see myself in 2 different situations. First, I'm implementing something new where I mostly use TDD, and then I have my test and I'm changing something. I run the test, I'm inside here. Okay, I'm running the test. All good. If this test is passing and it feels for me the feature is good, then I also test the whole file to make sure that all of those tests for this specific part of the application are working. Okay, then all good. And then I also want to run all of my tests. And then I have here this shortcut to run all the tests of this application, which are quite a lot for this already. So this is the Laravel Streamers application, and here we have already 151 tests, which I think that's the application with the most tests that I wrote myself. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure there are hundreds of assertions here being used, and all the application was built with TDD. So that's why there are a lot of tests, and there are many here being run currently. And I see that it's a little bit slow. So I think that's now something where it really feels like, okay, the stream 4K and PhpStorm maybe we are getting here to the limit again, because normally those tests are much, much faster. Okay, but these are the two situations for me: testing locally in a test in a specific method and then inside the class, and then running all the tests to make sure that my new implementation didn't break anything else. Okay, but how does this work? So the first shortcut which I'm using inside the method or inside the class to run a test, you probably have seen here, it's called run, and then that's the name of the method here at the bottom, where you can see all the shortcuts which I'm using. But this looks like I'm using a different shortcut every time, because now it has a different name, run this name, but it's always the same shortcut. And let me show you what this is called. This shortcut is called run context configuration. And the moment I found this shortcut, I had no idea what it was about, but the first time I realized what it can do, it just changed my testing workflow completely. Because the cool thing about this is you don't have to set anything up for PhpStorm to make this work. I think you might have to have PHP unit enabled in your settings, but as far as I remember, this is the only thing. And then inside a test, you can just click this shortcut, and PhpStorm is smart enough to know I'm inside a PHP unit test. In the back, it's creating a configuration file for running a test, because normally you would need configuration files to do this. But this is being done on the fly. So you don't have to do anything yourself. You just use the shortcut and it just works. So that's the one thing to make this shortcut work inside a specific test. And now the other thing I've shown you to run all the tests is a combination of two things. First here, there is this run anything window or prompt. Not sure if you've seen this before, but here you can run specific commands that you normally would run in your terminal. So for example, like npm run watch or composer install something. And the cool thing is now you have this dedicated window where this is being run. And then this is at the bottom of your screen and you don't have to think about it anymore. And sometimes I like to use this more than the terminal, because then my terminal is not bloated with all the different things that I just want to run and I maybe don't care about the output, like seeding my database again. I just want to run and then I'm immediately closing it because I don't need it. But as you can see, I was calling here something called all tests. And this is a so-called configuration, test configuration, or to be specific, I think it's called the run configuration inside of PhpStorm. And I go here to run. I think you don't see, but that's the run tab. And here I go to edit configurations. And can you see this? Yeah. And here you can see these grayed out configurations. These are the ones that were created through the shortcut which we're using behind the back. So this is why this shortcut is working without you having to do anything, because those configurations are being created on the fly. But here I have created a PHP unit run configuration myself. And actually it's pretty simple. If I want to run all the tests, which I want to do here, I'm just providing here the directory for all the tests and using the default interpreter. And yeah, that's already it to make this work. I also have here another one to run all the features test, where I just change the, the direct directory to only use the feature directory. And now I can just start with test, and then I immediately see, do I want to run all the tests, all the feature tests, or you could also specify you want to run all your live wire tests, for example. But here, when I'm ready with a feature, I'm just opening this up, running all my tests, and this way I know that everything is working. And this is just so much faster than opening the terminal, running a command, maybe providing some kind of filter or directory. And I've been using this now for over a year, and I have to say I don't look back. For me, this is really the best way to use testing inside of PhpStorm, because you use those features. And I also really like, let's go back to this test here. I like here the output of PhpStorm where I can easily filter like all the tests that were failing, all that passed. I can rerun it and some more stuff. And I have this nice overview where I just see what's going on. There is only one little thing I have to mention here, one downside with running tests through PhpStorm. So I'm not sure if you've seen this, but inside my run configuration files, let's go back here. Here there is something called allow parallel run. I'm not sure what it does, but it's not the same as parallel testing like we know from Paratest and from what Nuno added to Laravel itself. This is not the same. So if I click this, my tests don't get run with Paratest. And yeah, the only thing that's not working with this test setup is Paratest. And that's because there's an issue between how PhpStorm works and how Paratest works. And there is a pull request and an issue going on for quite some time, and they haven't fixed it yet. And that's why it's not working. And this is the only downside, because with 150 tests, it's really nice to run them in parallel because it's much faster. And yeah, I really hope PhpStorm and Paratest get it straight very soon, because I'm missing this a lot. But yeah, besides that, this is my testing workflow. And yeah, as I mentioned, I think it's the most favorite tip, or the most, or let's say it's a tip that changed my workflow the most to the better. Okay, this was tip number 9. Yeah, I planned 1 hour. I think it's looking good. So one more tip, and then maybe replying to some of the questions. Let's see, some new people here in the meantime. Eloret, hello. Nice to have you here again. Besides that, all good. All right, so actually I wanted to use this tip number 9 as the last one, because as you probably heard, I was the most excited about this one. But yeah, number 10 is a different one, and it's one that I just submitted today. So let's go back here to all the tips. It's this one, because this is tip number 50. And again, I'm super excited to have already 50 tips. I was looking forward to this benchmark for quite some time. And I was pretty good at the beginning to get to maybe 30, 35, 40 tips. But now the last 10 already took me quite a bit, because I think I covered the most and important tips already. So it's pretty difficult to find some new for me. Of course, there are some new features coming, so there will always be new tips, but the main ones I think are already pretty difficult to find. But this is also one that I like a lot. So let's go back here. It's called Close Active Window. And again, let me show you why you need this. So I'm a big fan of a clean setup like this here. So no distractions. I only have my line numbers and my code. No windows open, and this is how I want to code. This is how I can focus with this clean and beautiful setup. But of course, sometimes, as you said, as you have seen, I need to go to the project tree. I might need to open up the terminal. I might open up the version control, which I often use in PhpStorm. And then you probably have a few things open, and then excuse me, missing my voice already. And then you find yourself in the situations where you need to close these windows again. And of course, you can use the same shortcuts for opening them to closing them. So for example, back here, I click the file tree and then click again to remove the file tree. And then another time the shortcut for the terminal to focus on the terminal, and then another time to close it. This works. Again, no mouse, so still pretty good. Everything is better than using the mouse for sure, but there is a better way to do this. So let's bring up two windows again. When I want to close a window, 99% I want to close all of them. and that's why I use a shortcut called hide all windows. So all the windows which you are currently have open, there is one shortcut you can use to hide all of them. And I love if there are shortcuts where you only have to think about this one and it works for, yeah, many different things. So it doesn't matter if it's about version control, doesn't matter if it's about the terminal, just one click and everything is gone and you can concentrate on your code, on your beautiful, clean setup again. And I think this is the tip which I just found maybe 2 months ago, so one of the more newest one that I learned myself, but it's already one that I use all the time. And I think I also used another shortcut. I think there was one before called I think hide active window, hide active tool window, or close active, hide active tool window. I think it was this one. But so there was one where I just could close the active window. So this would also be one shortcut which works for all the windows, but still mostly if I have two opens, I want to close both of them, and this shortcut lets me do this. All right, with that being said, these are my top 10 favorite PhpStorm tricks. As I said, often really simple things that you can easily integrate into your setup, and it just improves your workflow for the better very fast. These are the low-hanging fruits of PhpStorm. You just have to grab them and you get the most of it. These are the ones that I really love to find and also love to share. Okay, with that being said, every tip that I showed you today, every other tip is here on my tips and tricks page where you can see all of them. And yeah, if you want to learn a little bit more about PhpStorm, I have this course, Mastering PhpStorm. Where I teach you a lot of those tips, but yeah, a lot more. So the main things that I'm explaining you here is first how you can get a beautiful clean setup like this one here, where you can just concentrate on a clean and beautiful IDE, which you're sometimes used to already from editors like Code or Sublime, but you can also do this in PhpStorm. Everything in PhpStorm is customizable, and I show you how to get from this main default layout with all those browser pop-ups, which I still see in a lot of people having them, but I've never seen one using them. And also these debugging features, which are pretty cool. I use debugging with Xdebug a lot in PhpStorm, but I want to see them all the time. Then also a lot of information down here and on this side. Yeah, a lot of things that you need, but you don't need it all into your face at once. And with this course, I show you first how to get back to a clean setup. And then I'm going to show you, much more of the things which I showed you today, which are the cool tools which you really need to know, like refactoring, best refactoring IDE, testing, using Xdebug, which I think is pretty cool. Also, two themes here, the ones that I use myself and also a white one which I created myself, are inside this course. And here's also example video. And here's some nice words from some already happy customers. And here is the content if you want to know exactly what's happening here. So yeah, a lot of things are that I shared here in this Mastering PhpStorm course. And I've been using PhpStorm now for many years, and I'm pretty happy about the workflow that I have today. And yeah, it makes me level PhpStorm. This is like a combination that fits very well for me and makes me very fast in development. So if you're interested in this course, check it out, masteringphpstorm.com. Okay. Let me see if still anyone is here. So yeah, you are still here. Oh, these are the comments which I of course love to read. Thank you, Lorik. Maybe if you also want to write one or two little sentence about your feedback of mastering PhpStorm, then I could add this to the testimonials on the website if you're okay with that. I'm always looking for those feedbacks of people and hear how things I created really changed their lives, because this is what interesting to others as well. How did this change the workflow to the better? Then this is also something that I like to share and to show TDD for life. Yeah, I'm also a big TDD fan, and I really love how much TDD we've been doing on Layer streamers, and it already helped me a lot. Okay, 8 more minutes. Let me check questions. Are there questions? Okay, I've only found one so far. Let me see. Is there a way to sort function properties in file structure? Interesting one. So I think by default it shows properties first and then the methods. Let's go back to the stream. Yeah, so properties, you see also if they are protected or public or private. How would you want to sort them? Would you want to sort them by name? I think this could be something that you want to look for. Or do you more think about sorting, like show me the methods first and then the properties? Let me check. Do we have anything here? Narrow down on typing. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, actually, it doesn't matter which one you were referring to. I think it's not possible. I haven't seen anything in the settings yet, but I maybe check it out. I think it could be useful to sort it by name. Yeah, but then, yeah, I think mostly I know already what I'm looking for. Yeah, but it still could be useful. Okay, I have to agree on this, but I don't. I haven't seen anything, and I think it's not possible from what I know. Okay, do we have any more questions? I have 6 more minutes. Any things? Love back to Egypt. Nice to have you here, Ellie. Yeah, Lorik would want to sort it by name. Yeah, be interesting. Maybe I talk to Roman from PhpStorm about it. It could be interesting for sure. Can you try adding it as an external tool? I have, what have I done? Have I talked to Roman from PhpStorm about it? I'm not sure. So I haven't checked this myself. This could be possible. But how would you then? You then also need to integrate it to the run configuration. Not sure. If you have any more infos on this, please let me know. Benjamin, I haven't tried it myself. I think I talked to someone about this already, but I'm not sure now again. Oh yeah, Adrian also replied to this. Yes, there's an issue with the team city output of PhpStorm, and this is also one of the issues that we currently have with PhpStorm in combination with Paratest, and why the pull request is not merged, because there are issues with that. All right, so I guess that's it then. I hope I showed you 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 new PhpStorm tricks and tips, and I hope they help you with your workflow. Of course, again, make sure to check out all the list. I keep publishing PhpStorm tips, so we are not finished now with 50, but I think 50 is now a pretty cool milestone, and you will find a lot of good information on that site. With that being said, thank you all for joining. Thank you for having this stream together. yeah, I really hope you learned something new, and we're going to see us probably in the next days for another stream. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Happy coding in PhpStorm, and yeah, see you the next time. Bye.